Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Lindsey series. This is the biggest district in Lincolnshire, containing 188 civil parishes. Without further ado, here's today's offering. Hello folks, welcome back to East Lindsey once again. And now the series is going to be in full swing. Every Monday, East Lindsey episodes are coming your way. Expect to see a lot of tiny, small settlements in this area, way more than in West Lindsey. You'll see plenty of this as well, the glorious Lincolnshire countryside. Look at that. You can't fault it, can you? Or at least I can't. I'm from Lincolnshire, I would say that. We're beginning in one of the smallest places East Lindsey has, right on the border with West Lindsey. Welcome to the tiny Tuphome. The East Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road, Gainsborough, or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Tuphome, Sheep Island. Hello out there, East Lindsey folks. It's been a while since I graced your part of Lincolnshire, but here we are in Tuphome to kick the series off properly. Welcome to a place that's definitely not a village and would struggle to be classified as a hamlet. With one of the smallest populations in the county, Tuphome's name means Sheep Island, and that's because it used to be exactly that. Tuphome once stood in a very marshy area which was later reclaimed by draining in order to increase arable farmland. Apart from sheep, the island didn't have a lot on it until the Premonstratensian order came along. They would build one of Lincolnshire's 9 great abbeys at Tuphome, remains of which still stand to this day in the form of a single ruined wall. It was one of the most important of the 9, but it was never prosperous, despite being so close to the Witham. It was founded by Gilbert and Neville. The Abbey is Tuphome's most well-known feature, and for sure it's the biggest, but there are other landmarks here. The one a lot of people might not realise is in Tuphome is OMEX, a factory which occupies part of the former Bardney airfield. Housing wise, there's very little, but that just means we get to enjoy the countryside a bit more, right? Let's go and check it all out. We start in the northeastern corner of Tuphome's boundaries, right on the edge of the former Bardney airfield, which we briefly covered back in West Lindsey. The factory you can see here belongs to OMEX, the company responsible for introducing suspension fertilisers to the UK. If you've never heard of those, they're defined as liquid fertiliser in which nutrients are present in an amount exceeding their solubility. They're concentrated thixotropic liquids, meaning they remain gelled when static and fully flowable when pumped. This means uneven distribution is impossible, as each drop is packed with the same nutrient content. It's an incredibly efficient nutrition system and one used by many farmers across the county. OMEX were founded in 1976 and they were originally named Omnia. They purchased a small former World War II building on the edge of the airfield and some surrounding land and grew rapidly. It wasn't long before they had a major site in King's Lynn, and now from those humble beginnings, OMEX is a global leader, active in 85 countries worldwide. They also manufacture other products. In 1997 they began making non-corrosive de-icer, which was primarily used by airports. The likelihood is we will meet them again as we travel around the country, but it's crazy to think that here in Tuphome, a place dominated by the Lincolnshire countryside, you'll find such an important manufacturer. Now, between the factory and our main area of interest is an unnamed road which runs south to the B1190. This is what you'd argue to be Tuphome village, although in reality it really isn't anything of the sort. Tuphome has less than 20 properties, and unlike other similar places, they're scattered all over the place. There isn't a singular area of population, rather it's a collection of isolated houses, farms and farm buildings dotted across the tiny slice of countryside Tuphome is. This used to be an island many centuries ago. The rich farmland here was once a marsh, and it was drained to increase the amount of farmland available to the locals. In the middle of the marsh though, the island offered a great location for a religious site. So you might be asking yourself, if there's no village here, what is there to cover? Well, Tuphome is a very, very important place religiously. Now, do you remember Bardney, the Bardney episode, and we talked about Bardney Abbey? It's just the site of an abbey there. There isn't actually any abbey remains there. But here in Tuphome, well, this has an abbey as well. And the big difference between Tuphome and Bardney is that the abbey remains are very much still standing. And there they are in this field over there. We're going to walk across to them and talk about this very important religious building. This, you may remember, got a mention in Middle Raisin a long time ago in the West Lindsey series, because if you remember in that episode we talked about how this gate won't open for some reason. Oh, there we are, got it now. You remember how we talked about there being two parts to Middle Raisin, one which fell under Tuphome and the other one that fell under another priory that I can't remember. I think it was it Newstead? Not totally sure. Anyway, there is the Abbey. Let's walk across to it and discover a bit more about it. Founded by Gilbert and Alan de Neville in 1115, the ruins of this Premonstratensian abbey lie close to the River Witham, some 10.5 miles away from Lincoln. It was one of 9 such abbeys within the Witham Valley. There were 6 on the east bank and 3 on the west, all presumably drawn to the area by the usefulness of the river for transport. Tuphome was largely destroyed by 1538 after being seized by Henry VIII at the dissolution of the monasteries. The ruin, one single wall, is located off the B1190 between Bardney and Bucknell. Access to the abbey is very easy. There's a track that runs alongside the site and the public are allowed on this piece of land. That means you can get right up to the abbey wall. It's a Grade 1 listed building. Tuphome was never a prosperous house. That's surprising because of its location right next to the river. In 1347, when the abbey was heavily in debt, the abbot of the time was accused of forgery and counterfeiting of coin of the realm, allegedly using the proceeds to buy corn and wine, which he sold for a profit. After its dissolution, the site of the abbey was granted to Sir Thomas Heanage of Hainton. He would build a grand house based on the monastic buildings for his daughter Elizabeth and her husband, the 1st Baron Willoughby of Parham. The house was known as Tuphome Hall, and it commanded a huge area of land around the abbey. This field where the remains stand are littered with earthworks, showing where these buildings would once have stood. But don't take my word for that. Look at this information board, which shows the extent of it all. The mansion passed through the Willoughby family until it was sold in 1661 by Lord Willoughby, the one-time governor of Barbados, to Sir Thomas Viner, a gold dealer and former Lord Mayor of London. The Viners would demolish it though before 1700 and would build a new Tuphome Hall 750 metres to the northeast. Tuphome Abbey was to have one more moment of fame though. In 1972, one of the country's biggest pop festivals was held here, featuring the likes of Rod Stewart and the Beach Boys. Oh, tick it off by the way, there's a notice board here too. So there can be no denying that Tuphome used to be quite an important place. Of course, these days, this is all that's left. Of course, there are other things. We've seen the OMEX factory as well, and a couple of houses, a couple of farms. You can see over in the distance there towards the wood on the horizon there, there's another house. That's all part of Tuphome as well. In fact, the boundary with West Lindsey is at that house, because I can actually see the West Lindsey sign. You won't be able to, it's way too far away, but I can just see it there. It's a very distinctive blue colour. That's the colour of West Lindsey. So there we go, that is Tuphome. There isn't anything really else to show you here. So let's drive out and head into the next village, which thankfully is a bit bigger. Just before we go, I thought I'd quickly show you this track opposite the Abbey that leads to Tuphome Hall Farm. The new hall, built by the Viners, was located up there. That too has now been demolished as it was pulled down in 1976, leaving just the farm behind. And that's it for Tuphome, the former island in a marsh that's now a tiny patch of Lincolnshire countryside with an abbey and a world-leading fertiliser company. Surely we can't do better than that next week, can we? Come back soon and find out. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.